Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_Access. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee, here to talk some draft and talk some Green Bay Packers. We are live on YouTube, X, Rumble, and for the time being, Facebook. We'll see if that stays up. So if you're hearing my voice and you'd like to join the Facebook group, we've got one of those as well. It's just been really rough trying to get it to sync up with StreamYard, and it's on Facebook's side. They've got some really, really strict rules. Evidently, they were trying to say that I was doing something illegal. That's exactly how I felt right there, Emilio. So I said flush it, and we didn't do it for a long time. So We'll see if it sticks. You keep your eye up there, Emilio. You'll probably see a red X pop up over here in a little bit, and that means they said no can do. But how you doing, man?
Good. Hey, beautiful day out here. I was cranking, man. Got through 10 yards of mulch, got some mowing done. Another cleanup job, and it was beautiful. I already went through one of those days where you went through the gallon or the half a gallon that you have, and you're like, man, I'm gonna need some more water. So I've been catching up when I got home.
Yeah, it was 78 here. We just had dinner on the back deck,
Nice.
Watching some TV out there, and had a spicy steak sandwich from Panera, sponsor the show. It was excellent. But now I'm
up here. I hit 81 down here, so it was a little hot. So.
Good stuff, man. We made it, man. It's draft season. It's spring. Next thing you know, we're going to be talking about OTAs and then the heat of the summer and training camp. I know spring ball has already started in college. I've been keeping up with Notre Dame there. That's been a lot of fun. People got some really, really high hopes for them. I'm a little nervous. I kind of feel like the Irish might take a step back. They lost a lot of folks, but they did kind of reload, I think, with four transfers from the transfer portal. But it's just nice, man, knowing the footballs are flying around up there in South Bend and all over the country with college football. And it's so cool this time next year, Emilio, we're going to be talking about a whole another crop of people, coming into the draft. It's just amazing how it never ends.
Absolutely. Just a recurring cycle and a lot of fun, too. I mean, each year you add a little bit of something from the draft board, from paying attention a little bit more, watching a clip, even playing college football. I mean, I felt even more connected just by being in the game, playing it. You're seeing the players, seeing them, move around.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're throwing numbers that are fake, but, it's just kind of cool to just be around it again.
No, it definitely is, man. There's no doubt about it. That's kind of how I see Madden, too, I don't get into the whole online competitive gaming, but it's like a companion for the NFL and college football season. It really does keep you kind of in tune and check with what's going on. The Aggressiver UFO says, what's up, Clayton? Imagine Walter, Nolan, and Jaden Higgins and Swinson or Ivy or Jordan Burch. My 3-round cycle, the guys will make Green Bay better if the D-line coach legit going to hit like crack. Man, that would be a hell of a draft there, to be honest with you, man. And I'll try to grab a couple of these off our board real quick and tell you where we got them. Like you said, Walter Nolan in the first. We've got Walter Nolan in the 18 spot. Said Jaden Higgins in the second. We've got Jaden Higgins in the 47 spot, so that checks out. That's great value. And it says and Swinson or Ivy. I'm trying to think of where we had Swinson. I really like Swinson because after hearing Greg Cosell talk about the way that he uses his
85.
hand. Yeah, we got Swinson at 85. That'd be a great pick. What about Ivy? Do you see Ivy anywhere there? I know he was down there at the Ole Miss. What about Ole Miss?
Top 50.
Is he really obvious? Yeah. Wow, 50.
Just behind Jalen Milroe.
That would be amazing, man. Hey, we're with you there, UFO. That would be absolutely awesome. Chris the Casualian says, what about Harmon? Harmon, not a bad pick. I would be okay with Harmon. We just have Harmon a little bit lower. We got him in the 29 spot, but look, that could be Milio. We could make that work, right?
You could definitely make that work. Honestly, I'm just getting excited about just pull the trigger on one, right? We've talked about corner. I just the whole circle. It's the sport is cyclical. We've been cyclical this just off season of, hey, where are we going to go? Started at D line, went all the way back around. Now we're back at D line again. It's kind of cool.
It is, man. 2-0 for this says it's been a doozy of a week, so I'm going to not joke for once and say thanks for all you do. This show is a spot of consistency. I really appreciate the chat, the boys, and Carly when she's on. Salute emoji. Hey, salute to you, 2-0, for this. We appreciate you, man. That's what it's all about. And then he goes on to say, now that's all out of the way, this show sucks. And it does. Exactly right. Greg Rice, Baz has a different trade value chart that he uses in PFF mock drafts that he said is better. I think was the guy's name. It's the Rich Hill chart, I would imagine, is what he's talking about there, Greg. And by the way, just a little breaking news. I think it's next Tuesday. Baz is actually going to be on with us for the first 20 minutes. We're going to get his draft take, so that'll be a lot of fun. And speaking of that, we got another hero joining the show here. Tim came sliding in sideways, but I thought you were taking the night off, man. What's going on?
You said breaking news, so I had to hit the breaking.
An absolute hero, because I didn't hit it. That was not me. That was Tim before he was on camera hits that. So I'm appreciative of him.
Here's a guy.
Yeah, Greg Rice, that is probably the closest chart we have, although it's not the gospel. I think it's far more realistic than what PFF does, which is, I'm sure, why Baz is using it. The Rich Hill trade chart. Many people talk about the Jimmy Johnson chart from way back in the 90s. Rich Hill, I feel like, is the most accurate, but if a team wants a player, man, they're going to overpay. And every time somebody overpays, and if you include quarterbacks as well, they'll trade a lot more draft capital to go get a quarterback typically. So I think I heard Ryan say this on his pod. He agrees that you almost have to remove the quarterback trades from that chart because people are going to overpay for that. But that's cool that he's thinking outside of the box too. Baz is an awesome dude and been a friend of the program for a long time, ever since we started. So shout out to him. Andrew Petro just became a new YouTube member. Congratulations there, Andrew. Appreciate you supporting the show. We'll make sure that you are on the Larry McCarron Pinky Wheel tomorrow for an opportunity to win the autographed Mason Crosby card. So thank you.
Perfect timing. I mean, anybody else that's thinking about it, you better jump on it before. So what's the cutoff tonight at midnight, Clay? Or are you going to do tomorrow?
tonight at midnight. And full disclosure, I say tonight at midnight in case I don't have time to do it tomorrow. Right. Most of the time I get it right up to the last second, but I don't want to mislead people into thinking you can, jump in at the last second and I didn't have time to do it. So I'll make sure that definitely by midnight tonight, I go ahead and load it up. And then if I have a chance to do it again, I'll load it again tomorrow. So yeah, thank you for asking that. We got a little bit of breaking news earlier today, Tim. I think you're going to be excited about this one. I know I was. And listen, this isn't groundbreaking or anything, but Christian Welch is back in Green Bay as they sign him. Now, immediately your thought, Tim, it probably goes to, okay, we don't need a backer now, right? That's kind of my mind steered there. And then I thought, wait, step back a second. We lost Eric Wilson. That was our special teams guy. Christian Welch going to pick up where he left off and jump right back into special teams, isn't it?
Man, it'll be a fun training camp, right?
It will.
If he makes the 53, I'll be shocked. But I love it, right? Here we go again, second year in a row, right? Hopefully he makes the team this year. We'll see.
Yep. Emilio, what do you think about the Christian Welch signing, man? Is this more about special teams? You think he's got a shot to make the squad? And of course, if the right backer falls to us, who knows? Maybe he just ends up on the practice squad, right? He being Christian Welch, of course.
Right. I think it's something, you just gotta get him in there, get him on the 90. He knows Green Bay. Let's get him back. Let's get him worked out. See if anything's changed. See if he's get better on the offseason. But probably special teams practice squad guy. I'm hoping Hopper gets a little bit more burn this year and see where he goes. Honestly. Yeah.
Same. All right. We had some other news drop earlier today. Yeah, it's a breaking news now here. Easton Butler tweeted out the Packers met with Texas State offensive lineman Nash Jones at his pro day per at Tony Pauline. So we got another offensive lineman on the draft board with the cheese emoji. I already added all these guys in. And I think there was maybe one or two that seemed like decent rankings. Yep. But for the most part, it's hard to find these guys, man. It's
321 on the board.
There you go. Appreciate that. We also had another one, Vanderbilt wide receiver Darion Wiley met with the Saints, Packers, Lions, and Commanders at the UL Monroe Pro Day, as well as receiving an invite to the Titans local Pro Day. The Packers were a team that stood out while there, is what it says. So we got him on the board as well. Playing, obviously, at Vanderbilt, you think in the SEC maybe a little more known. Where do we got him on the board currently?
It's a tough one. 502.
That's one of those we don't have a whole
You
lot.
found him? You found him on the board?
He was bobbing for air there. The issue being he is the last one on our board, and then we are in the no number category. So the only number he has is his ranking of 2023 of a 938.
There you go.
Here's the guy.
Also, we've got Jacksonville State wide receiver Perry Carter Jr. met with the Packers, Commanders, and Patriots at the UL Monroe Pro Day. So Jacksonville State wide receiver Perry Carter Jr., where's he at on the board?
Perry Carter is at 453. We have PFF 22 and 23. It was basically 370, 360, those two.
He might be playing in the UFL tonight. Who knows, right?
What?
Which it does kick off tonight, right? Did I hear correctly? I think we got UFL football tonight. So
nice.
So another wide receiver. These are all guys I kind of feel like might be potential undrafted free agents. This is the guy that caught my attention. South Dakota State University running back Amar Johnson met with all the teams that were at his pro day with the Packers and Vikings standing out. The Packers were very interested in him and spoke to him for an extensive period. I want to say he had a decent PFF grade.
That's correct. We had him at 186.
Got it. 186.
His PFF 22 grade was 154, 23, 187, and 24, he was 51. Not on either board, though.
Got it. Good stuff. Tim, what do you think about that, man? It seems like they're looking because I want to say they met with another running back as well. They're trying to probably add a body or two on the practice squad, I would imagine. Right?
That's what I'm thinking, right? It's got to be for depth. You know, we feel good about our running back room, but you can always get better, right? And some of these kind of under the radar guys, it doesn't hurt to keep an eye on them, right?
Correct.
I don't think we're going to like trade up and get Ashton Genty or something, you know?
No.
Let's look at the guys that are realistic, right?
Wouldn't be opposed to it, Tim. I mean, if we're going to talk about all our options. But no, you're spot on there. The only other one they met with was RJ Harvey. PFF currently has him 85th on the board, 94th when we took down the info, but he's sitting at 117 on our board currently.
Got it.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, next on the list, we got another one. UL Monroe wide receiver Davon Wells met with the Packers and the Commanders his pro day, along with the Rough Riders and Red Blacks of the CFL. So there you go, another wide receiver. What about him, Emilio?
464.
464?
Yeah.
Got it.
No big boards, 2s, 300s, and 500s for his grades.
Got it. Good stuff. All right. In other news, Ole Miss edge outside linebacker, edge/outside linebacker Princely
Umana Milan.
Here's the guy.
Shared with us on SEC Network that the Falcons, Panthers, Buccaneers, and Packers are the teams that have shown the most interest in him through the pre-draft process. So Princely might be on the Packers' radar here as a backup plan if they don't get the guy that they truly want there in the first round. I think we've got him in the 52 spot.
Oh, look, another dude from Ole Miss.
And I'm telling you, that pro day today, I fell asleep watching it. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But I did. I woke up and Jackson Dart still throwing. I went back to sleep on the couch. But, yeah, it was interesting. Actually, I think we got a clip we'll show you guys here in a minute on that. But what do you think about Princely, man? Do you think there's a chance that Goody has a higher grade on him and takes him at 23, or do you think that's something probably hovering around that 54 spot?
Yeah. One of those two. Yeah, I mean, 91.1 on PFF last year, you know. Ooh. I mean, this guy's a dog, man. I don't know if we go first round on him, but you know, maybe at 54, like you said, probably lowering my chances of getting Jaden Higgins, you know, but I wouldn't be upset at all if we got Princely here. I mean, tape and numbers don't lie, and there's a lot to be excited about with this guy, especially if you're looking for you know, an edge rusher for sure.
Yeah, and Emilio's doing something creative over there. I see the board moving around. What'd you do there, Emilio? Talk to me.
I was just trying to throw in DJ's numbers to see if that would help Princely at all. It did not. Do
you have a number from him? If you do, throw it in there.
No. I was just throwing like a 55 in there just to see, but it actually bumped him up, I think, a little. Anyway, I do like that he was productive. I think I think seriously he's an option at 1 just because of how wide, Goody's range is. If he likes a guy, he's going to take him. It's not like, he took Quay in the first round. If he likes him, he's taking him. So
right.
I think that we do have to keep it as an option. I would obviously like it a little bit more in the second round, but if he's there and Goody has faith in him and that's what, Matt wants and Halfwood thinks it'll help, let's do it.
Yeah. He's more of a 34 guy though, right? So it'd be like a little bit of a developmental project. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah, we got a super chat here from Brambo. Thank you, buddy. He says, in my opinion, I guess that's LaFleur. Is that right?
Yes.
LaFleur put off the vibe that he was sick. Running back Lloyd's unavailability due to injuries already. I can see adding more backs. And I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Wasn't that you that mentioned it last night, Tim, that he had some injury problems in college as well? Am I thinking right?
Yeah. I mean, we knew that when we drafted him that he had issues. I shouldn't say issues, but, he had a couple nagging injuries coming out of USC. So we knew that when we drafted him. I don't think anyone thought we would lose basically his whole rookie season. So this will be the year. This will be the year to see him step up for sure. But I mean, Brambo's saying too, that's his opinion, right? In his opinion, he put off the vibe that he was sick of his unavailability. I get it. Just like we were sick of Jair's unavailability due to injury and a number of other guys. So I don't think that's off base at all.
Got it. And I guarantee you they're sick of us talking about their unavailability, right? That's the way that works. So, Brambo.
Sit your butt outside.
Thank you for the super chat, Brambo. Appreciate you, man. All right. In other news, Easton Butler said there were several members of the Packers staff at the Ole Miss Pro Day with a source saying, quote, all were heavily watching Trey Amos. So, obviously, Trey Amos, a corner out of Ole Miss as well. They're just still in the show. We got him in the 51 spot, outside corner. We talked about him in our cornerback breakdown, part of our draft preview. In 2022, he was 309th at his position. He jumped all the way to 160th in 23 and then jumped all the way to 21st in 2024. The PFF Big Board had him at 28. Consensus Big Board had him 45. Kyle Krabs in the 33rd team had him at 30. And then Dane Brugler had him at 93. Last we checked, he had a 8+ RAS, scoring him an extra 3-point bonus there as well. What do you think, Emilio? Trey Amos, you think there's a chance that that's got to be pick 54, right?
Yeah, but I still wouldn't be opposed. I mean, if you brought in Ravel, right? If you didn't like him and you're at their pro day looking at Amos and you still want that corner in the first, yeah, it's a possibility. But I'm excited. I really did like Amos there. I think that he'd be a good corner, but it's really all they see, But it's when I was listening to DJ and Buck, they were just saying the fact that it's more of like a smorgasbord of what you're getting instead of an entire outlook on a player. You're not getting the full outlook. They said back in the day, you used to be able to like, hey, if you don't run that 40, you're going to be the only one not doing it. It's going to affect you real bad. Now the fact that they're able to say, hey, I'm going to do agility, I'm going to jump, I'm not going to do sprints, I'm not going to do, I'm not going to run my 40, all that. That's really kind of making it tough on the scouts not being able to get their full fill out of their numbers at the end. They're saying, we got to do more work in the fall. We got to get better tape there. We got to try to see them in some live practices, live games. I think it's really going to kind of change their scouting look.
Yeah. Coach Lynn says Trey Amos, bingo, and he went on to say, I've seen him getting mocked in the first. Nothing would surprise me in this draft. We talked about from 20 to 60. This is DJ, Daniel Jeremiah, saying this. From 20 to 60 is like, these guys are, you take your pick type thing. So, really, outside of the top 20, anything could end up happening. There's no two ways about that. So,
I do like the write-up that PFF had on him, basically saying his floor is like, CB2, and then, a potential ceiling of, sky's the limit. He could be a starter, so it's like both ways. And, he's kind of a versatile dude. I like Trey Amos. I do. I like him at 54. I don't know if I like him in the first round, but definitely at 54.
Yeah, I don't like him in the first either, to be honest with you. I think he's lacking a little bit, but I mean, again, we're talking as if I don't want people to misunderstand what we're saying. We're not saying a second round pick is going to be a bad football player. We're just simply saying, like, with that 23rd pick, you should be picking, close to the cream of the crop, right? Now, we do know that the top tier, I think you've talked about it, Emilio. I've heard somewhere between 10 to 15 blue chip prospects, and I think I heard you say like 7 to 12-ish, and that's all everybody's personal opinion. But really what you're talking about when you pick at 23, that those blue chips are going to be gone, right? That's what we're expecting.
Yeah, you're taking best that's on your board, that you're prepared, that you did the most research on, that you're confident in. I think that's the option, because without that you're just going off of what everybody else is saying. I feel like you got to trust your work. If you put in all that work throughout the year to look at the tape, watch them, go visit the game, send the scouts, send Goody, see him at his pro day. That's something that has to be worth something in their eyes, to be able to do all that and get that firsthand experience instead of just trying to run numbers to get them on the board.
Yeah. Coach Lynn says, do these college players' agents pay draft experts to boost their players in the mock drafts? I heard that today. I think we would be kidding ourselves to think that didn't happen to a certain extent. That's why we call it lying season. And, like Ryan was every year he does a podcast series and he's working on it right now, where he'll go through Bob McGinn's article where he talks to 3 scouts about these specific players. And, it's great information. It's very, very entertaining, especially the way that Ryan kind of tees it up.
Oh, yeah.
But I look at it and go, boy, that is the epitome of lying season right there. Like their names aren't on it, right? They don't have to list their name in the scouts that are talking. And it just so happens that, some of them, the way that they talk, it just does not sound like the way that NFL teams actually scout. Like Bill Belichick is big on this. It's Bill Belichick 101. Don't tell me what the player can't do. Tell me what he can do. Right. And then on top of that, there was somebody the other day, I was listening to a podcast, a Notre Dame podcast, and he was talking about a coach that stopped a meeting right in the middle of the meeting and said, all you guys are talking about are what these players can't do. What can they do? Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of that's getting weeded out of the scouting process. So I have a hard time believing they're just sitting in there just, raking these dudes over the coals. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think there's some validity and there's some truth to some of those reports. But also, boy, if there's a way you want to get misinformation out to drop someone's stock or raise someone else up, that's how you do it, right? Something like that.
And that's the only option they have. There's no more games. You can't go out there and perform again. It's all that's happening right now is word of mouth, and just a mass amount of boards being put together and mocked. So there's not, physical proof of what's happening besides like what you're seeing where they go to pro days, where they're seeing these kids still, running around, still figuring out, are they going to make the board? Do they have the ability? Are they injured? All those things.
All right. Coach Lynn says, so your board may be more right than you think. That's the whole reason why I build the board that I do. And now Emilio's jumped in it and Tim's been giving feedback and everything as well. The goal is to get the opinions on these players as soon as possible and then control how much you can move them up or down, right? And we have full say over, okay, we got the information in at the end of the season as early as possible. And then, of course, there's going to be late info come in because, like Daniel Jeremiah, one thing that pisses me off about him, and I have nothing but respect for him, is he waits till the last possible second for his top 150. And that bugs me because there's a lot of finagling that goes on behind the scenes, right? There's a lot of
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Say to DJ every time, like, how many times are you going to come into my draft board here, my draft room, and give me the top 150 late, DJ? Because it gives you, it's just, you can think on it longer. And this is something, Amelia, I'm sure you've heard DJ and Bucky Brooks talk about. Sometimes you can look at these prospects for too long, work the report, get what you feel on them, and set the board. Because the longer you think about it, you could talk yourself into something or you could talk yourself out of something, right?
Yep. It's like just absolute overthinking of a problem or overthinking of an issue. That's where you just get yourself in a bind. They were even talking earlier today, like almost both of them agree there's not like a number one receiver. Buck was saying, there's not a number one receiver in this draft. There's a bunch of number twos, number threes, and everything like that. But there's not a Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, all the, Malik Neighbors. That's not in this draft. So they're saying all of that can happen. But then you're also seeing, hey, T-Mac, Luther Burden, are any of them? No, everybody's kind of got their own opinion.
Yeah. You got Marlboro Jack in the house here on Rumble. Appreciate you swinging through. Says, greetings from Argentina. Put it on the map.
We do need to get that on the map.
Marlboro Jack. I love that name right
That's
there.
the coolest name ever. You kidding
It's like
me?
Marlboro Matt right here,
I'm going to
have a hard time believing that Marlboro Jack doesn't have children in other countries he don't know about. That just sounds like the coolest human being on the face of the planet right there, right? Like he just walk into the bar, give me a whiskey. What's your name? Marlboro Jack.
I picture that he kind of looks like this guy.
Oh, absolutely. Over in Argentina sporting the cowboy hat. Hey, appreciate you tuning in there, Jack. Hope you have a great evening here. So Trey Amos, again, just keep an eye on him. It sounds like the Packers are showing some interest there. All right. Now, moving along, I thought this was hilarious. We were talking about lying season. You guys are going to get a good kick out of this. Ian Rappaport put a tweet out. First of all, listening to Greg Cosell talk about Chris Paul Jr. from Ole Miss, the linebacker, the stack backer, he absolutely loves him. He's just a little undersized. So if he was, an inch or two taller and 20 pounds heavier, this might be the best linebacker in the draft, according to him, right? So he got a huge bonus from us, but I doubt he'll meet the threshold. This was hilarious, though. One of the things that Greg Cosell said on that podcast was he doesn't have the arm length. His arm length is going to hinder his ability to shed blocks. However, even with the short arms, he's able to maneuver and he has kind of this high football IQ on how he can position his feet to avoid those blocks, which is pretty impressive, seeing that he's got shorter arms. So Ian Rappaport put this out. Check this out, guys. More arm length drama. Ole Miss linebacker Chris Paul Jr. measured 29 7/8 arm length at the combine and 30 3/4 inch by NFL scouts, not Ole Miss, at his pro day. So it's literally like that's a full inch. What happened? Different tape measures? You use a Stanley instead of a Fat Max? Like what are we doing here? Just a Stanley Silver? What do you think they
Just
used?
the tip, though.
They didn't use the Milwaukee tape, did they?
No. Honestly, they probably should be using the Fat Max because the only Milwaukee one I like is the Magnet one. I honestly think, but it's really like I know you missed it last night, but the punch length that I was talking about is like when your hand's out flat up against a wall, the bottom of your palm to the inside of the inside of like the curvature of your shoulder will get you a different length than if you're going from your shoulder to the tip of your tip of your middle finger trying to get the actual length of the arm. Your hand can be, where your wrist is and everything. That can be a different distance. You have good football IQ like Chris does. You have quick hands. You get a quick slap. You know where you're moving. You got to get, engage and shed, all that stuff. If it happens on tape, I mean, that's kind of where you got to lean to. Right now we're literally just looking at a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, yep. Definitely. All right, Tim, you got anything to add on the arm length gate here this year?
No, I think Emilio covered it pretty well, right? Like we're talking about an inch, right? Or 3/4 of an inch, or whatever, man.
Steve Palazzolo was the original tweet that Ian quote tweeted. It said 30 for 30 documentary. Will Campbell's arm length. That would sell for sure.
Let's do a feature length film exactly on the arm length for sure.
Hey, I could care less about the arm length. Let Will Campbell fall to us at 23, and I'll run the damn card up. I'll run upstairs, take the card from Goody's office, and run it back downstairs to the draft. What I'll do. So
absolutely,
I have no
Chris
problem
Paul
with
Jr. too. For that matter, if he falls, I think another guy that we should definitely have on the radar.
Yeah, definitely. Now who's on the radar that was at the Ole Miss pro day here today. Sorry, I've got that steak sandwiches. I had to swallow that twice there. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes sometimes. People on the pod's like, thanks, Clayton. Didn't need that visual. So Anthony DeBona maybe. Ole Miss interior defensive lineman Walter Nolan, number 2, and JJ. Do we know how to say his name yet? Have you heard it yet, Emilio? Pegues. Pegues, I could see that. I could see Pigs. I could see. I don't know. What do you think, man? What would you say?
I want to say it was Pegasus, but
Pegasus. Okay.
Yeah, but I could be completely off on that. But I remember he was like versatile. They actually handed him the ball a few times. They kind of used him as a fullback.
Mm-hmm. Andy Monday, look at this. Not 30 for 30, 30 for 28.5. There you go. That's beautiful. Beautiful. So anyway, both players should be on the Eagles' radar in the 2025 NFL Draft. Of course they would be, right? They'd fall right in their lap again. But this video was shot by Jordan Reed at the Pro Day. Watch the way that our boy Walter Nolan moves here, gents. Look at this crazy. Look at the change of direction. Then, of course, Pegasus, I guess is how you said it.
J. Cole said Pegas.
Pegas.
Okay.
Pegas. All right. You go.
We trust you until we get in trouble for saying it wrong.
Exactly. So here's Pegas. Let's watch him move.
Get the towel. Put it down. Okay, I'm coming back for it. My towel.
Hey.
And put it down.
My towel. That's pretty impressive, but am I wrong by feeling like Walter Nolan ran it just as well? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you seen Walter Nolan run it, my man was scooting, dude. Let's go back to Walter Nolan again. Look at this. To me, it's just as impressive as Pegas. If that was Pegas. Maybe that was someone in between there. Let's see if it's 87. Is that 87? We'll have to wait and see the number here. See if we can grab the number. No, that's 1. So that wasn't Pegas. Sorry. That was some kind of edge defender there. That might have been Ivy, actually.
Okay.
We're looking for 87. That's not him. Let's see if we got him right here, because I want to see this guy move, because the Packers have already – actually, they didn't meet with him. They just – they met with him, I think.
That's Ivy.
That's Ivy there. Oh, he stumbled, didn't he?
He is big, though. He didn't even – the way he's running the circle, dude's stride is just like cutting off corners of the circle.
Here we go. I think this is him. 89.
Yeah, 89. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, he moves well. That's no wonder they handed him the ball. Okay, my question is, how come some of them are finishing running that extra quarter of the circle and finishing left, while Walter Nolan didn't run the edge of that circle and finish straight down the field?
That's a good point. It's a good point, Emilio. Sound like a sham to me.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Take a look at those guys real quick, okay? Let's put up the big board and see, just based off of what we've seen at the Pro Day today and kind of some of that information that came out about where the Packers, who they met with, and all that stuff. Let's start with, let's key in on Ole Miss, I guess you could say. So when we go Ole Miss here, we could search it, can't we, Emilio? Let's do this.
You can.
Control F. Let's go Ole Miss. I should do it right there. So let's see. We got 11 on the board. It looks like the top prospect out of Ole Miss is Walter Nolan in the number 18 spot. The Packers have met with him. He also dominated the Senior Bowl and got a 7-point bonus from Greg Cosell. Greg Cosell actually said Walter Nolan is the best defensive tackle in this draft, even better than our boy at the top here, Mason Graham, which is wild. That's why I gave him 7 points. I'm like, I'm not putting him above Mason, but that is a huge – that's really saying something, saying he's the best defensive tackle in this draft, man. And then next on the list is Trey Harris, obviously wide receiver, finished 48th on our big board as it sits right now. Next from Ole Miss is Jared Ivey in the 50 spot, edge defender from Ole Miss. Trey Amos literally right behind him at 51. They're less than a point apart. That's really cool.
Yep.
And then you got Princely. Say it, Tim.
Umana
Milan is in the 52 spot. Look at that cluster of Ole Miss guys. That is wild, dude. Literally four within 6 spots on our board in different positions. It's crazy. Next, you got Jackson Dart. He's in the 79 spot, obviously the star quarterback down there. Chris Paul Jr. comes in the 98 spot. That's going to be interesting because his PFF grades in 2024 were off the freaking charts.
Yep.
Next, you got Caden Prescorn, if I'm saying that right, tied in out of Ole Miss. He's in the 224 spot. And then Antoine maybe is how you say it, Wells Jr., wide receiver out of Ole Miss. He's all the way down in the 426. Caden Davis, kicker, is also in the draft. And Jordan Watkins, another wide receiver out of Ole Miss. What do y'all think
about Jared Ivey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Where do we have Jared Ivey?
We got Jared Ivey in the 50 spot is where he's sitting currently.
Yeah, and definitely a guy to keep an eye on at the edge position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jared Ivey, 198th in 2022. Then he dropped to 359. Then he jumped all the way to 16th at his position. PFF Big Board had him at 60. The Consensus Big Board had him at 58. Daniel Jeremiah had him in the 50 spot. Kyle Krabs had him in the 49 spot, and Dane Brugler did not have him in the top 100. We don't have any RAS information. Maybe we'll get some more of that after today. I'll do a double check tomorrow in between shows, as we're going to do a morning show and an evening show tomorrow. So what do you think, Emilio? Jared Ivey, do you think that's got to be pick 54? Do you think there's a chance he goes a lot sooner than that, man?
I don't know. He production really cranked up the past year. He was what was he, 16th in PFF grade, 60th and 58th on the board. So it looks like he's going in round 2. It really depends on how that first round falls. I could totally see it, but I really still think that they're keying in on Walter being at Ole Miss and maybe got their eye on the cornerback, and maybe they have their mind made up on the edges right now. They just wanted to be there just to see if they were wrong, checking him out, and then move on to the next one.
Got it. Tim, you got anything else to add to the Ole Miss boys? Anybody else you want to see here, man?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, Ivy was kind of teetering around the bottom of my list, but I mean, there's a lot of talent coming out of Ole Miss, man.
It's crazy, man. We talked about it.
Honestly, if we get one or two of these guys, I'd be extremely happy.
Yeah.
We talked about it on the college football show we did this past year, man. You looking at that consensus big board early, and it was just Ole Miss all the way down the board. Now, some would say they underperformed dramatically this year, and I know Lane Kiffin caught a little flack for it, but I think they're a good program, man. They know how to recruit. Somebody had said earlier, I think in the Patreon group, they had said, man, they must be shelling out the money for NIL. They've been shelling out the money for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. There's a show called I posted, I actually sent it to you guys too on the text thread. Let me see here real quick. I don't want to misrepresent the name. I know I sent it to you guys. Yeah, there it is. It's called Foul Play. It's on YouTube. And it's a 4-episode series. Each episode's like 30 minutes. And it takes you behind the scenes of Bagman and everything at Ole Miss and how recruiting was before it was legal to do NIL stuff. And Ole Miss got the bag. That's what Jaco said.
Other than Jackson Dart and Trey Harris, though, it seems like the bulk of the talent's on the defensive side of the ball. So, a dude like me who loves defense, like I'm keeping these guys on the radar because there's multiple swings you can take on the defensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah. Blake B in the chat said, I hear they love Lane Kiffin in Knoxville. Man, let me tell you something about that. I lived that. All right. I had just moved up here. I'm pretty sure. I remember being up here when they hired him, up here being in the Tri-Cities area and about an hour away from Knoxville. And then when they hired him and everything, and boy, this is the guy that's going to bring them back to dominance. We're going to win a national championship, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he left in the middle of the night to go back to his favorite choice there in USC. And there were literally sofas burning on Cumberland Avenue in Knoxville. Like they were so mad. Emilio, that was probably way before you got to Knoxville, maybe. Yeah. I don't know if you've been down there, but that was a wild time, man. Wild time. It's calmed down a lot on the strip because I remember my first year in Knoxville, I went down to Cumberland Avenue and I'm like, man, I want to go see. I didn't have tickets, but I'm like, I want to see what the buzz is like for Tennessee, Florida. And that was when it was at its height. Philip Fulmer was the head coach. Yeah. I think Steve Spurrier was still there. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I go down there on the strip and it is just packed. Oh, Charlie's is packed. I mean, it's just it was just the coolest thing ever. And I'm sitting there at Old Charlie's and having a drink and maybe a wing or two. And these two cars pull up to a red light. And one has Florida flags on it. It was a Honda Civic. I'll never forget it. And the others were in a Jeep. It was 2 girls in a Honda Civic, 2 girls in a Jeep. The girl in the Jeep reaches out the window and set the Florida flag on fire. The window. I will never forget. We just heard screaming and looked over and seen smoke. And there was that flag was, it's like a nylon, like it burns like plastic, just this black smoke.
Oh, it probably smelled terrible.
I was like,
little sticks bent,
got a sip of my Michelob Ultra, said this is what I came for, right? It's exactly what I expect.
You'll still see it. I mean, you see people will just be staring at anyone that has like a Gator shirt on or a sweatshirt or anything. You're out going shopping. People just get the eyeball, man, when they're wearing that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's good times, man.
Yeah, our guys better wake up with their piss hot, like I said before. So.
Hey, they wake up with their piss hot down there, Tim. Let me tell you, buddy. They do. And
They go to sleep with their piss hot too.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's an interesting place and doing a lot of work down there on campus and stuff. It's cool though. It's a cool campus, good people. But you ever get a chance, you find yourself in Knoxville, whether you got tickets or not on a Saturday, just swing by there, walk around the stadium, and just catch a little bit of the environment, the atmosphere, man. It's pretty cool. So with that being said, I'm not a Tennessee fan. I grew up a Kentucky fan, so I was
Big game tonight to play, right?
Oh, big game. It's actually on right now, right? Or is it? When's it come on?
I think it's on right now. I think you're right.
We got Kentucky, Tennessee tipping off the night.
He's going to put it on in the background.
I may. Won't you mind your business over there, sir?
Yeah, that's on me. Hey, you run the show. I'm just here.
I just work here, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to hit on in terms of pro day information, all that good stuff? I know Daryl threw a stat out here. Jared Ivey has 17 sacks in his collegiate career at Ole Miss, so pretty decent numbers there. I'm not reading that, Prince. You knucklehead. What's wrong with you? Here we go. J. Cole. Emilio, isn't Kane the mayor of Knoxville? You damn right.
See?
Not Knoxville. What's he the mayor of? Please tell me you know this, Emilio.
No.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Glenn Jacobs. I think his name's Glenn Jacobs. He's from Morristown, right down the road from me.
Okay.
He was Kane in the WWF. You remember Kane, the big red dude?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Mayor
Okay.
down there. And I think it's Knoxville or Knox County or whatever. I don't keep up with local politics much, but yeah, pretty cool dude, man. Good guy. So, hey, man, we covered everything in that first hour. Are you kidding me? We got college football rivalries. We got pro day information.
College basketball, March Madness was mentioned.
Talked about the UFL.
Wrapped it up with a little wrestling. We're good. All right, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour two. We appreciate y'all.